friends, I am so glad you're here. Today I want to share the answer to a question I get all the time on Instagram, which is, how did you get where you are today? How are you a doctor, ObGyn, and mom to 4? When did you have your babies? When did you get married? How old are you? The whole bit. Basically, tell me the story of your life. I'm not going to give you the whole life story because I can guarantee you that would be boring. But I will start kind of in the pre-med years, give you guys some highlights, watch all the way through, and make sure you don't miss where I had to overcome a pretty big hurdle on getting into medical school. Right now, I am 32 and I am a practicing ObGyn, and I have 4 children and a husband. Sometimes it feels like I have 5 children because of my husband. Don't tell him I said that. He'll probably watch this. Actually, he may be the only one who watches this. No, my mom will watch it. My husband is a web developer, does computer programming. My children are 6 and 6. Yes, we have twins. They are 6 and they are girls. And we have a 2.5-year-old little boy named Milo, who is the star of my Instagram stories. So if you love Milo, you know where to find him, Instagram stories. And we have a newborn whose name is Pax, and he is almost 9 weeks old. I'm gonna start back maybe in like 2004. I graduate high school, don't know what I wanna do with my life, decide I'm gonna major in psychology because, well, I don't really know why. It sounded interesting and that's what I picked. At the time, I thought I would be a clinical psychologist, go to grad school, get a PhD, the whole bit. I took a course in undergrad that was supposed to mimic a grad school class, and I hated it. It was so much writing. If you've ever visited my blog, you know I like to write. And if you follow me on Instagram, MamaDoctorJones, you also know I love to write. But I don't really like to write thesis stuff. I don't know. Whatever they had me writing in that class, I did not like to write. And I decided this isn't really what I want to do. But then I didn't know what I wanted to do and had to change what I would pick. I don't think I had ever really thought about going to med school. For some reason, it just never was on my radar. I don't know if I didn't think I could do it or if I didn't think I wanted to do it. I don't know. I just never really given any consideration at all to being a doctor. I bounced around a bunch of ideas and landed on, I'm gonna try to go to medical school. So this is probably now my sophomore year of college, and I decided I wanna go to medical school. That year, I took the MCAT without taking all of the necessary prereqs. I don't even think I had taken physics 2 yet. And P.S. physics is hard. I am not good at physics. I think I made a B in all of my physics classes in undergrad. And let me tell you a little secret. I have never used physics before, at least not directly, as an ObGyn. So if you're not good at physics or you don't like it, there's still hope for you. So took the MCAT, did not do well. I didn't like bomb it. I think I made like a 27. It's scored differently now. I don't know. It was like not a horrible score, but not a great score. Decided, what the heck, I'm just gonna apply to medical school anyway. If you've ever applied to med school, you know you can't just what the heck and apply to med school and expect that to go well. People prepare to apply for med school for years and years before they actually do it. So threw in my applications. I think I got like 2 interviews and got waitlisted. Shocker, I didn't get in. Okay, so this is a huge hurdle and this life-changing moment in my life where I go like, okay, I don't want to be a clinical psychologist. I don't want to go to grad school, and I just got rejected from med school. Maybe I'm not cut out to be a doctor. I started reviewing everything and decided there's a lot of weak points in my application that I can improve. I'm going to spend the next year improving on those points, finishing my prereqs, taking the MCAT again, and trying again, because who are we if we give up the first time someone tells us no? We're quitters, and we don't want to be quitters unless you're smoking, and then you should be a quitter. Anyway, sorry. You should subscribe to my channel if you like corny jokes, but if you don't like corny jokes, you should probably go away now. In that year that I was gonna improve my application, I also met my now husband. We met in college through a mutual friend, and we dated for, let's see, I think 2 years, 2.5 years before we got engaged. I graduated from Texas A&M, in 2008, and I didn't know what to do because I still needed to reapply and get into medical school, but I didn't have a degree in something that I could really do anything with. I mean, what do you do with a Bachelor of Science in Psychology? I'm waiting. Deliver pizza? I don't know. I didn't know what to do with it. And so in the spirit of trying to improve my application, I got a clinical job as a medical technician doing allergy testing at a clinic in town. And that was a really cool job because I got to do hands-on stuff with patients. It was like an awesome opportunity that a lot of people don't have until they actually get into a medical career, whether it be nursing or actual med tech or doctoring or whatever. And so that gave me an opportunity to meet really great people, work with patients, and learn a lot more about the medical field. And I continued to become more and more passionate about becoming a doctor. That year I reapplied. In December of that year, this was in 2008, I got engaged. Woohoo! I'm not wearing my engagement ring because I don't know. I was going to show it to you and I don't have it. It's in my room. Don't worry, I'm still married. And I think it was March, we had match day. Woohoo, I got into med school. Okay, so now what? Now I'm engaged, I have a job, and I got into med school, but it's across the state. And do I drag everybody across the state with me? Why, yes, I do. Thank God the person I was engaged to, and I'm now married to, is flexible and was willing to be dragged across the state of Texas with me to go to medical school. In July of 2009, we got married. Woohoo! Yay, wedding. And then we went on our honeymoon, and it was a beautiful honeymoon to St. Lucia. And we'll probably never go back because that's not the kind of travel we like to do these days. We like to go hiking and excitement and not sit on beaches, but it was really pretty. And yeah, it was a good honeymoon. It was right before my 23rd birthday. So I was 22, almost 23 when we got married, and I started medical school at the age of 22, almost 23. And we started talking about having babies during my second year of med school, but we weren't quite ready, although I think my husband would have had babies like immediately when we got married if we had both been on board with that. And at the end of my second year, we actually started trying to get pregnant, and then it wasn't working, and it was taking a long time, and it just wasn't happening. So I went to see my doctor and like, listen, I really want to have a baby before I get out of medical school. It'd be nice if the baby came in my third or fourth year. But we've been trying. I think this was like halfway through my third year now that I actually went to the doctor. We've been trying for a while. It's not happening. So blah, blah, blah. We do all of that, tests and workup and stuff, and we ended up getting on Clomid. And I got pregnant my third round of Clomid, I believe. And that was in April of my third year of medical school. I got pregnant, and surprise, it's twins. And then I start panicking like, oh my God, because in your fourth year, you spend basically August to January doing your residency interviews. That requires a lot of travel. You're going all over the country sometimes to do interviews. And I was going to be pregnant with twins, which notoriously don't always go full term. And so when I started looking at the dates, I was due January 6th of my fourth year, and I anticipated that the babies would come at least a few weeks before that. So just smack dab in the middle of my residency interview season. And I went to my residency interviews like 50 weeks pregnant, you guys. I was huge. If you were on the interview trail with me, you knew, because you could not miss me and that belly in a suit with two babies. I know. And you know what my biggest regret is? I don't have a single picture of myself with that giant 50-week twin belly in my maternity suit interviewing for residency. If I could go back, do one thing in my life, I would take a picture of that. It was kind of before the days of all the fancy iPhones and stuff, and I don't know. I mean, it wasn't, I don't know. I had an iPhone. What am I talking about? I don't know why I don't have a picture of myself in that suit. I just don't. So, interview for residency, very pregnant. Twins ended up coming at 35 weeks, which was December 3rd of my fourth year of medical school. I was not completely done with my residency interviews and had to then decide what I wanted to do. Do I cancel all of them? I had already interviewed at the place I really thought I wanted to go, but I wasn't 100% sure, and you don't ever know for sure that you're gonna get in. So this was kind of a wrench in my plans. So I was 4 weeks post C-section with 4-week-old premature twins who were not even yet to their due date when we set out on their first road trip across Texas for some more residency interviews. I interviewed at 1 or 2 more places after the twins were born, and then I sat down to make my match list of what do I want my training home to be. And I ended up ranking mostly places in Texas, a couple of places outside of Texas, and my number 1 choice was where I ended up going, which was Scott and White in Temple, Texas. So I had match day in March of 2013. The twins were a few months old, and we found out we were going to Temple, and we moved across the state again. One more time, key the thankful music. Let's be honest, I don't know how to key any music on this thing, so you guys are gonna have to put up with my crappy editing for a while until I get used to this. But very thankful that my husband had both a flexible mindset and was willing to follow me around for medical training and a flexible career. He actually kept his job that he had when I was a medical student in Lubbock and went to work from home when we moved to Temple, but for the same company, and that's who he still works for to this day. So we moved to Temple for residency. The twins were 6-month-old. I started residency with my 2 6-month-old babies, and that was the most stressful year of my life. If there is one year that would have made me bail on medicine, it would have been that one. I knew after getting through that year that I could literally do anything. For real. Which brings me to today, where I probably take on way too much and volunteer for way too many things and have far too many side projects and definitely too many social media profiles. Anyway, all of that to say, if you can survive your intern year of ObGyn residency with 2 6-month-olds, you really can feel like Superwoman. I had a lot of help. It was really a family effort. My husband deserves all the credit in this discussion because I would not have made it without him. That year, we also chose to have an au pair who kept the girls from 8 to 5 and then also lived with us and did college classes and, I don't know, saw America and had fun and became a part of our family. And she would bring the kids up to the hospital to eat lunch with me, and she really made that year much more sustainable. So I never want this to sound like it was like, oh, look at me, I'm so great, Superwoman, I did everything. It was not like that. Behind the scenes is probably the only reason that I didn't crash and burn that year, and I got real close. Let me be very honest. It was hard. That year was rough, but we all survived. The twins were no worse for wear. They had no idea. They had wonderful, loving, great people taking care of them when I was working, and it was a short chapter that was over. I learned so much. I worked with wonderful people, and it made me a better person. Eventually. It did not make me a better person in the moment. I think I was probably a very miserable person to be around in that moment and probably for the next 8 months after that. What am I if not honest on the internet? I started my 2nd year of residency. Odie, our au pair, went to live up in New Jersey with another family, and the girls started daycare. We decided to put them in daycare rather than have another au pair or a nanny or something like that, just because it felt like the right thing to do. There was great daycares where we were, and it was affordable daycare, and I don't know, it was good for them. Like, they started daycare, they got a lot more social interaction, they started learning on a little bit more of a schedule, and it was good. It was reliable and consistent, and I don't have any regrets about having my kids in daycare. Let's see, the girls are 18 months. I don't think there was any more discussion about having another baby at that point because we were all still just like hanging on by strings with children who didn't sleep, and we just needed some time to kind of smooth that out. We decided, I guess in my 3rd year, that at some point we would try to have another baby before I got out of residency, and I ended up getting pregnant really quickly that time, and it was a nice breath of fresh air because I knew I was ready to have another baby if it happened, but I was not ready to do the whole infertility Clomid thing again, and I kind of thought that's what would happen, but we got pregnant, and the very end of my 3rd year of residency came Milo, everybody's Instagram story favorite. He was born a week before my 3rd year ended of residency. And my chief year of residency with the twins, who that year they turned 4, and Milo, who was a newborn, was a busy year, but it was a great year. My chief year allowed me a little bit more balance, but I was still learning a ton. I was getting the opportunity to teach, probably much to the despair of the people who were below me, because they had to be my guinea pigs while I tried to learn how to become a teacher. And it was a fun year. I learned a lot, and it was also an interesting year of deciding what I wanted to do with my life. Prior to that point, I had really thought I was going to apply to fellowship, and that's another story for a whole other video, but I ended up deciding not to apply to fellowship, and so we were job searching at that point as well. I interviewed for several different attending jobs and landed on the one that I ended up taking here, and joined the practice after I graduated from residency in 2017. And then in the middle of 2017, we started thinking about having another baby because, I don't know, we like chaos and we hate sleeping. We got pregnant relatively quickly with Paxton also, which was another great blessing. And we had him just about 9 weeks ago, a month or 2 into my 2nd year of being an attending. So to recap all of that, my story starts as a pre-med, not knowing what I wanted to do. I went to Texas A&M and majored in psychology. Along the way, I met my husband and decided I didn't want to go to grad school. I decided I wanted to go to medical school. I took the MCAT and applied and did not get in. I decided that I would reapply after a lot of thinking and come to Jesus moments. So during my gap year, I worked for an allergist as a med tech, got engaged, reapplied, and got into medical school in 2009. I got married in July of 2009 and started medical school directly thereafter. After we had been married 3.5 years, our twins were born, and then I got into residency and we moved for residency. During residency, it was a whirlwind of an intern year, but we all survived and were better for it. And my 3rd baby, Milo, was born a week before I started my final year of residency. I graduated from residency in 2017 and started my first big girl job as an attending, and Paxton was born 2 months into my 2nd year as an attending. So that's been our timeline and how we got to where we are today. Balance is not easy, but you can do it if you're intentional. You can do it, I promise. Don't let fear of the future decide what you want to be when you grow up. So whether it's an astronaut or an engineer or a doctor or a nurse or a PA or just want to be a mom and that's all I really want to be, all of those things are great. But don't think so many steps ahead that you have to be scared and it will stop you in your steps. Because I guarantee you, when I didn't get into medical school the first time, if I had thought, oh my gosh, I want to get married, I want to have kids, this is going to take forever. If I had started trying to think that far ahead, I would have stopped. I wouldn't have tried again. And I am so happy that I didn't stop. So if there's something that you want in the future and it scares you to think that far ahead, back it up a little bit. Take it one step at a time. People on Instagram are always asking me like, what do I do? How can I have balance? Give me some tips. And they're not even engaged or married yet, and they want tips for how to balance being a doctor mom. Like, back it up, people. Whoa, put the brakes on. You're going to freak yourself out, I promise. So take it one step at a time. Figure out what you want to do. Take the small steps towards that, and you'll figure out the balance thing along the way, I promise. And when I started looking at it like this, one step at a time, and every step is a choice, you might feel trapped, and it might feel like making another choice is the harder decision, or it's going to put you in financial strain, or whatever. You're never really trapped. It's all a choice. And when I started looking at it like that, step by step, every step is a choice, it started feeling a lot less like pressure, and you just go in chapters, and everything is manageable in chapters. You will get where you want to be eventually. It will work out. So thank you guys so much for joining me and watching this. I am so excited to be here. I am excited to have you guys here, and I can't wait to see in the comments you telling me where you are in your journey, what you're wanting to be, and what inspired you to learn more about being an OBGYN doctor mom to 4. I will see you guys next time. Bye, friends. Wait, don't forget to subscribe.